lot of nuts!
Welcome back, hyenas, and today we got to talk about a big problem, and that is advertising. There are too many ads everywhere. It's impossible to even enjoy content without being bombarded with ads at this point. The other day, I was scrolling TikTok, and before I knew it, I realized that I was being advertised to, because instead of staring at my smartphone, I was actually staring at a billboard for the better part of an hour and a half. How are they doing this? Advertisement-based monetization is one of the pillars of the modern internet. As the tech-savvy consumer has grown to enjoy the internet the way that they deem fit, which is completely for free with no payment required, websites and social media platforms and basically anything that has a website has had to adjust the way that they make money into a way that they make money without directly charging you money. And the way that most platforms do this is by running advertisements, pop-up ads, inlay ads, pre-roll ads, sponsorships, and whatever else. And as a result, people have had to come up with ways in order to now bypass not only paying for the things they watch online, but also not watching advertisements that pay for the things they watch online. How does one bypass advertisements? There's three basic examples. A, you can download something that blocks the ads, like a plugin or a web browser or something else that makes it so that those ads don't run whatsoever without getting in the way of you watching your favorite YouTube video, Twitch stream, or whatever. The second is plugging your ears, closing your eyes, and going, no, 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 I'm not gonna be advertised to, no, 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 no. And then you just do that anytime you think there's going to be an ad and hope that you don't accidentally skip over the actual thing you were trying to watch. And the third, which is somehow even stupider according to most of the internet, is just paying for some sort of premium feature like Netflix Plus or YouTube Premium, which removes all the ads for you and pays the people that are making the content you're trying to watch at the same time. I don't know about you guys, but I'm not a dumbass. So I'm gonna stick with, no, 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 I don't wanna see the ads. This conversation around paying for some sort of ad blocker or the premium version of a website that you use frequently in order to not be able to see any advertisements on the content that you're watching has started to bubble up in more of a conversation thanks to a tweet that I saw just the other day by this user on Twitter who states, just subscribe to YouTube Premium, and you know what I've realized? Ads ruin our lives. I feel so free watching content now, and then goes on to state that YouTube Premium comes with YouTube Music service, which I really need, plus an ability to download videos and music. So no, Brave or ad blockers aren't it for me, plus being able to watch YouTube in browser isn't comfortable experience in my opinion. Basically talking to anybody who is of the mind that it is stupid for you to be paying money to have the premium version of YouTube when there exists an ad blocker that you can use that gives you basically the same experience. And I would argue there's a little bit of caveats here. This might sound like quite a boring topic. Hey, either pay for it if you want it or don't if you don't. But judging by the number of people that have replied to this tweet with just pure aggression and anger at the concept that somebody would want to pay money for a service that gives them a benefit to something that they're watching presumably every single day, you can see that there is actually some level of contempt that people who don't pay for YouTube Premium and instead use some sort of free alternative to block ads give themselves a level of superiority to the point where they think anybody who would just pay to have YouTube Premium is below them, subhuman, non-intellectual, if they're not just using this roundabout method to block advertisement. I mean, read through some of these things. I mean, weekly YouTube Premium ad disguised as a random tweet. I might be a little batshit insane because I use YouTube Revamps to block ads, but also pay for premium anyway. The concept of feeling so free, yet you still have to pay for a subscription. Congratulations, you just got scammed for an indefinite period when you could be using YouTube with no ads for free. Never used ad block. Dumbest shit I've seen this year. Like, bro, what? First of all, let me undress the elephant in the room. I recognize that I, as a YouTuber, probably am not the ideal messenger for this message. Hell, if I were to say anything other than you should never pay for anything ever, well then I am clearly as bad as Jeff Bezos. Clearly, my yacht is not big enough, and that is why I am telling you that spending 15 bucks a month on something that you watch for 150 hours a week might be worth saving yourself the 3 hours of advertisements that you have been sitting through. I recognize that. My paycheck is directly tied to people not using ad block when watching videos on YouTube. Clearly, it is impossible for me to have an unbiased discussion about this topic, and I recognize that, but also shut the fuck up. Yes, I am somebody who makes videos on YouTube, and yes, I would rather make $50 versus $40 if people were to stop using ad blocker. But the reality is that I'm speaking on this topic from the side of somebody who watches well over 40 hours of YouTube a week. I've said this before in the many times that I've spoken about ad blockers, YouTube Premium, and the way that the algorithm works in videos prior, but I have almost definitely watched more YouTube in any given week than most of the people watching this video, and as a result, I feel I am at least somewhat qualified to speak on what it's like to watch YouTube in the modern era with or without ad blockers. And just to clarify, I am not trying to get you to buy YouTube Premium. If you're happy with the way that you're watching YouTube, whether it be with ads or with an ad blocker to not see ads, watch YouTube however you want to at the end of the day. But this level of contempt and superiority that seems to be coming from people who use an ad blocker, feeling like they need to justify the efforts that they go through in order to block ads by talking shit on people who are taking the easy route of paying for the service, just seems silly, and I feel like should not even really give you that level of superiority, because there are some very clear downsides to not paying for YouTube Premium that aren't going to get discussed in these one-word tweets that everybody seems to try to share, because it's a little bit more of a nuanced topic of discussion. First of all, what is YouTube Premium? What is so bad about YouTube Premium that makes it so that people don't want to use YouTube Premium? YouTube Premium is $15 a month if you buy it for one person, and by buying Premium, you see no advertisements on YouTube whatsoever. Nowhere. You don't see pre-roll ads, you don't see ads in the sidebar, you don't see ads on your phone, you don't see ads on your TV. Anywhere that you are logged into YouTube, you get to watch any video, scrub through it, skip, fast forward, watch it in Premium, watch it in double speed, whatever you want to. You will never see an ad anywhere on YouTube. I have the family plan, which is $23 or $24 a month, so my mom and dad don't get YouTube ads on their TV or on their phones. My wife does not get YouTube ads on her phone or in my living room TV, and I don't get YouTube ads on my phone, on my desktop, on my laptop, anywhere. And it works on up to 5 accounts, which means, on average, you're paying like $4 a month to not see any advertisements on YouTube whatsoever. Seems like a half-decent deal. Oh, wait, it doesn't stop there. You also get YouTube Music. So the $8 you might be paying for Spotify, not only do you not need to use Spotify, but instead of using their stupid AI DJ, you can use YouTube Music, which has all of the Nightcore remixes that small YouTubers make that you can now watch and listen to with your phone turned off. It's half-decent value for, again, what could be $4 a month. I'm gonna not factor in the $600 that YouTube Premium took off the price of my phone, or the fact that I get my 3 terabytes of Google Drive discounted every month because it's all bundled into one little plan, or the fact that I get Gemini for free so I don't even need to pay for ChatGPT either, because I'm not factoring in any of that. We're just gonna call it $4 a month, $15 a month, whatever. It seems like a half-decent deal considering that between me, my wife, and my parents, that's probably hours and hours of advertising that gets skipped over, on top of the fact that we all get music, we can download videos, I can turn the screen off of my phone and have it playing when I'm in my car or at the gym. God knows I've never shown up to the gym, so I don't know why I just lied to your face like that. It's a number of benefits to it. Why would you not want YouTube Premium? The main argument that is made by people who don't want to pay this fee, aside from just being against the idea of paying for anything for any reason, is that this is a man-made problem. YouTube advertisements used to be a 15-second ad that you could skip 5 or 10 seconds into, and that was it. But now that YouTubers have gotten so greedy that there is literally an advertisement playing every 60 seconds, according to some of these people online, it is impossible to use the website without having some sort of ad blocker or premium. And so this feels like a problem that YouTube has created only to then sell you the solution. They have made ads so prolific and so frequent on their platform that you basically have to pay this $15 a month or this $4 a month, however you calculate it, in order to be able to use the website in a reasonable manner without getting bombarded with ads. And a lot of people don't want to support the idea of them having more advertisements and being forced to pay to not see them, so they would rather use any other alternative means, i.e. ad blockers, to then not pay money and not see ads, which, given the number of advertisements that are on YouTube and how weirdly sexually explicit and misleading a lot of them can be, I can't say is a completely bad argument. However, and again, this is one of those things that just gets memed on, and as a result, nobody actually has a conversation about. It is very easy for people to just be like, you're paying for a thing that you could easily get for free? What are you, stupid? And that's the end of the conversation, without talking about any of the downsides of using one of these free alternatives either. And there are downsides to anybody who thinks it's quite as simple. First of all, buying YouTube Premium is just that. You swipe your credit card and then it's a recurring subscription like any other recurring subscription that you have had forever. It's done. You don't need to do anything. Open your phone, open your computer, whatever. You don't see ads. It's a done deal. You paid for that privilege along with its other benefits. If you want to use an ad blocker and or Brave or one of these browsers that blocks all these ads for you, it's a teeny bit more convoluted. Is it free? Sure. But if you're using a browser, that means you can't use your browser of choice. So you now have to not use Google Chrome, Firefox, Opera, or whatever, and you instead have to use this browser that allows you to not see ads. What if I want to block ads on my phone? You gotta download it there too. Either download their app or, God forbid, the recommendation of watching YouTube in a browser on your phone in order to get that same ad blocking privilege, which I could not recommend to anybody. That is definitely going to be more effort than just paying the $4 to $15 a month in order to block those same advertisements. And it's not completely problem free. Those ad blocking technologies are at an active war with YouTube in their ability to block those ads. YouTube wants you to either watch ads or pay for premium. And so there is this ongoing fight where Brave or ad blockers or uBlock or sponsor block or whatever has to constantly update their repertoire, their sources, the number of ads that they block, how to do it, where to do it. And it has resulted in the number of things that you've seen, like with YouTube popping up and telling you, hey, we see you're using an ad blocker, stop that shit. And that is only going to get worse and worse as time goes on. Could the ad blockers win and you continue to be able to use their services? Maybe, but the ad blockers could also lose, and this could result in you having a day, a week, a month where it isn't updated, doesn't work, and blocks you out of using YouTube, which I would argue is an issue you can completely ignore if you just have YouTube Premium. In the best situations, you download it and it works just fine. But in the worst situations, it doesn't work, and now you're still seeing ads with an ad blocker installed. You have not solved the problem that you were trying to solve. Please recognize that I am trying to simplify the courses and the problems and the situations that are going on for the sake of brevity and to be able to explain it to casuals that might be watching this video. This is not, I'm sure I'm going to get comments that are like, Sumito, it's literally just as simple as ABC. You have to be stupid to not be able to figure out how to use Brave on your phone or whatever. I'm trying to simplify the issue so that you can recognize that they exist. And I don't know about you guys, but as easy as you think it might be in order to download a separate application and watch YouTube via an alternative means to block advertisements, you might be okay with that, but I am not explaining how to do that to my not tech-savvy wife on her iPhone and how simple or complicated that might be. I am not updating the repertoire or the app software on my fucking 78-year-old dad's iPhone. I don't want to get calls in the middle of the night of, hey, Sumito, my fucking YouTube isn't working properly. You know what I mean? Like, why in God's name would you subject yourself to that when the alternative is $4 a month? And if you do, that's great. But like, again, the amount of memes I see of people talking shit on YouTube Premium subscribers as if that's not a real situation. The people who are advocating for using ad blockers are the Linux users of the fucking internet. They will recommend you use this thing that is so infinitely more complicated and requires so much more tech knowledge to be able to work correctly, and they will never take the time to explain how to do it update it or help you out in doing so, they will just say Linux is better, fuck you if you can't figure it out, and then sit back in the recliners drinking Mountain Dew. You guys are fucking annoying. My last point, and the one that I feel like gets talked about absolutely minimally, is the fact that YouTube has made the change so that ad block users no longer get recognized as views on YouTube, right? If you pay for YouTube Premium, you can watch YouTube, quote unquote, ethically, in the sense of the YouTube creators still getting paid for their work. Of the money that you pay towards YouTube Premium, a portion of that gets sent to the YouTubers that you are watching based on how much of the stuff that they watch. So the YouTubers whose entire livelihood and their paycheck is dependent on how many people watch their videos / watch ads on their videos don't get completely ripped off by you not watching the ads if you have YouTube Premium. They still get paid a portion of the amount of money that people pay into YouTube Premium. I have dissected this number before, and it is a little bit less than if you had just watched the ads, but it's not really anything to complain about. It is an amount of money versus no amount of money. So, you know, we just gotta not bitch about it. Because of the recent changes to how YouTube counts their views, ad-blocked views do not count, which means if 10,000 people watch this video with an ad blocker installed, this video will have 0 views counted. Not only will I not get paid for the amount of people that watch this video with an ad blocker on, but the video won't even get the views. The view number won't even go up, and that has been true for like months now because of the way that this interaction has been going on. So even if you don't want to support your YouTuber financially, for some reason you want to watch hours and hours of videos from a YouTuber but don't want to give them money, you're now not even helping the video that you're watching get recommended to other people. Because if somebody uploads a video and a lot of their subscribers have ad blockers, that video might get 10,000 views instead of 100,000 views because 90,000 of them are using an ad block and aren't being counted, and now that video doesn't get recommended in the algorithm, and everybody who wants to see it won't be able to see it. The YouTuber won't get paid as much for it because you decided to opt for an ad blocker. Now listen, it's not your fault that a YouTuber can't make their money. I know people hate hearing that, but I would argue a relatively big part of why you might want to pay for YouTube Premium is that it supports the platform. At the end of the day, if everybody decided to use an ad blocker, YouTube would cease to exist like that. Literally the entire system would break. And I feel like at least factor that in. You know what I mean? It has been said, and I can't find the quote, that the existence of ad blockers is not a consumer problem, that it is a platform problem. If a large number of your users are turning to piracy and or ad blocking, it is an issue with the distribution. Obviously, people would not be so inclined to download an ad blocker if the ads on YouTube weren't so intrusive, weren't so in the way, didn't become such a problem for you trying to watch the videos that you're trying to watch. And the solution to this is obviously not necessarily to wage a war on ad blockers or to demonize YouTube Premium users or users that use ad blockers, but rather it is for YouTube to make a better ecosystem for an ad-watching viewer. Somebody who doesn't want to pay for either should still be able to power watch through YouTube videos without being bombarded with advertisements that get in their way of being able to scrub through a video, rewind, save videos, and what have you else. Premium should be something that somebody can add on if they want to give themselves a convenience, but it should not be like a necessary component of being able to use your website, because basically your website turns into a pay-to-watch platform, which YouTube notoriously is not supposed to be. It's supposed to be somewhere where you can watch videos for free, and it's the abundance of these advertisements that has led to this ongoing conflict to even exist in the first place. Roberto Blake, who is sort of like a YouTube growth coach, social media coach sort of individual on YouTube. I used to watch his videos when growing my own channel many, many years ago, and he still continues to do so. Posted a bit of a hot take, which is that ad block viewers are now completely worthless to a YouTuber. He goes on to argue that there's no excuse for if you consume the better part of 500 hours of YouTube in a year, which is only 10 to 15 hours of YouTube a week, which is, a weekend of watching through some of your favorite video essays and what have you. It doesn't make sense to not be bypassing the ads by buying YouTube Premium, but the views from ad block don't count anymore, which means that ad blocked viewers, people who are watching YouTube with an ad block, are now no longer making any money for the YouTuber because they aren't seeing any ads and aren't even being counted as a view. They're basically ghost views that YouTube doesn't add to your view count, doesn't suggest to your video becoming more and more suggested. And so as a result, we've entered a situation where if you are somebody who is blocking ads on YouTube, you basically provide zero value in sitting and watching a video, which his take is that, you should be moving in a way where you shouldn't pay attention to any of this. If you're making the effort to download an ad blocker so as to not see ads, you probably weren't the type of individual to subscribe to somebody's Patreon, buy their t-shirt, or sit through any sort of spiel advertising you to try to benefit you anyway. They already weren't going to be somebody who is going to help grow your YouTube channel in one way or another. But now that YouTube has made it clear that these individuals aren't even going to be counted as a view, well, now that's increasingly bad, right? This means we are in a situation where you, somebody who likes watching my videos but simply doesn't like ads, can sit down, listen to me talk for 15 minutes and watch an entire video, perhaps go on to watch even more of my videos, enjoy me, subscribe to me, share me with your friends, and all of that ends up meaning absolutely nothing in terms of the video that you watched and supported doing any better, because with an ad blocker, it's basically like you never even clicked on the video in the first place. That's kind of a broken system that we've got going on right now. I have been paying for YouTube Premium since I was in high school, 10 plus years. I have decided I do not want to watch ads on YouTube whatsoever. God knows how many hours of advertising I have not watched because of YouTube Premium, and I see the benefit in that. Obviously, I like the fact that my parents can watch it without getting advertised to, that I can watch it in my living room, that it works on so many things. I can listen to music, blah, 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 whatever. I understand that that solution is not for everybody. Obviously, as a real advocate of somebody who should be able to enjoy the internet however they want to without being bombarded with ads, clearly because I pay for premium, I recognize that if you don't have or don't want to spend the $4 to $15 a month in order to skip over the ads on YouTube and would prefer to use an ad blocker, I recognize that you're finding a solution to a problem that you're having. I am not trying to convince you to go from not paying for something to paying for something, because that would quite literally make me Hitler. I recognize that. That's not what I'm here to say. What I am saying is that this conversation around the way that ad blockers are being handled by YouTube is directly affecting every single YouTube creator that you are watching. It was originally affecting them in the way that ad block users were no longer paying them, but now ad block users aren't even being tallied up in the views that the videos are getting. If 10% of any given user base is now blocking ads, you can basically calculate that as every YouTuber receiving 10% less views. And in a world where a slight change in thumbnail to get slightly more people to click can be the difference between a video that fucking disappears to a video that rivals Mr. Beast's viewership, every one of those views count. And this is an ongoing problem that creators are having in reaching their audience, because their audience is trying to find a solution to a problem that is being generated by YouTube. This is something YouTube could fix overnight with the click of a button. Either make ad block viewers count so that people still get paid for it, but they won't, because YouTube's not getting paid either, but they won't adjust the ads that are being blocked, because if they did that, they wouldn't make money on that end. And now we've got an entire pocket full of spaghetti that we got to deal with. Every time I talk about sponsors or ads or YouTube Premium or anything along these lines, I get comments about people that are foaming at the mouth at the idea of having an ad shown in front of them. I can't find the tweet, but somebody replied to me on Twitter with something along the lines of, every time I see an advertisement online, I write that brand down in a notebook and I read through that notebook to make sure I never buy anything from them again, which is A, just a flat out lie. I damn well know you don't do anything along those lines. But B, that mentality is something that a lot of people harbor because of the intrusiveness of advertisements online. And the thing that I want to make clear is that if this was just as simple as YouTubers/YouTube want you to watch ads and viewers don't want to watch ads, I would be on the side of people who don't want to see ads. I'd be on the viewer side. I watch more YouTube than I do make YouTube, despite the fact that I've made over 500 videos on this platform. I've watched damn well more than 500 videos on this platform. I am more of a viewer than I am a creator. I cannot emphasize that enough. The thing is, it's not that. There are a number of YouTube creators that have no idea this is going on. There are people working right now to make a video about Silent Hill 2 that they've put time and soul into, hoping that that video reaches their audience and they get a bunch of views for it so that they can continue to pay for Adobe or justify spending another 100 hours making a great piece of content that maybe hundreds of thousands of people want to see. And they're not going to be able to because ad block viewers aren't getting recognized, their videos getting less views, therefore getting recommended to less people, which has nothing to do with that guy. That guy's video, that guy's ability to create more stuff for his viewers to watch is getting worse. His viewers are seeing his videos less often, either because he's making less videos or because they're getting recommended less, all because of this conflict regarding ad blockers that has nothing to do with that guy, and I cannot emphasize this enough, could be fixed by YouTube by just not running the lowest tier, shittiest advertisements as often as they are. It could be that quick and we could be in the golden era again. It really is that simple. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. I hope to shed a little bit more insight into the nuances of what this actual conversation is about. I hope that there will be slightly less memes about if you pay for YouTube Premium, you should kill yourself, because it's a little bit more complicated of a topic than memes like that warrant. But hey, at the end of the day, all we can really do is just hope it gets better and then continue to make videos. At the very least, that's what I will be continuing to doing, because it's not really like we have a choice to do anything else. Thank you for watching. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Spisu.